10 Daily Habits That Make You Dangerously Attractive. Stoic Philosophy. 1. Master the art of silence. Imagine a young man named Alexander. He was intelligent, hardworking, and ambitious. Yet wherever he went, he felt invisible. In conversations, he constantly interrupted others. He rushed to share his opinions. He felt the need to prove that he was knowledgeable. If there was a moment of silence, he immediately filled it with words. One day, Alexander met an elderly philosopher who seemed to command respect without making any effort. When the philosopher entered a room, people naturally listened. His presence felt calm, powerful, and almost magnetic. Alexander asked him a question. "How do you make people respect you so much?" The philosopher smiled and replied, "I learned something most people never learn. I stopped trying to impress people." The answer confused Alexander. For weeks, he thought about those words. Then he began paying attention to the philosopher's behavior. He noticed that the old man spent most of his time listening. He asked thoughtful questions. He observed carefully. He never rushed to speak. Yet whenever he finally spoke, everyone paid attention. Alexander slowly realized that silence was not emptiness. Silence was strength. Most people believe attraction comes from being noticed. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Attraction often comes from being composed. When you are constantly speaking, people become accustomed to your voice. But when you choose your words carefully, every sentence carries weight. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. As the ruler of a vast empire, he could have spoken endlessly. Instead, he spent much of his time observing, reflecting, and thinking. He knew that wisdom begins with understanding before speaking. Today, we live in a world addicted to noise. People constantly post updates, express opinions, and seek attention. Few people know how to simply observe. This creates a unique opportunity. The person who masters silence instantly stands out. When others argue, listen. When others boast, remain humble. When others seek attention, focus on understanding. People often reveal their true nature when they believe nobody is paying attention. The silent observer notices things that others miss. They notice insecurity hidden behind confidence. They notice fear hidden behind anger. They notice opportunities hidden within challenges. Silence gives you access to information that constant talking can never provide. There is also another reason silence is attractive. It demonstrates emotional control. Imagine someone insults you publicly. Most people react immediately. They become defensive. They argue. They attempt to protect their ego. The Stoic chooses a different path. Instead of reacting instantly, they pause. They consider the situation. They evaluate whether a response is even necessary. This ability to remain calm under pressure creates a powerful presence. People trust individuals who can control themselves. After all, if you cannot control your emotions, how can you control anything else? The next time you enter a conversation, challenge yourself to listen more than you speak. Observe more than you react. Think more than you argue. You may discover that silence has a voice of its own. And that voice speaks of confidence, wisdom, and strength. 2. Control your emotions. There was once a successful merchant who had everything most people desired. He had wealth. He had status. He had influence. Yet he had one weakness that constantly damaged his life. His temper. Whenever someone disagreed with him, he became angry. Whenever business went badly, he became frustrated. Whenever life failed to meet his expectations, he lashed out. Over time, people stopped respecting him. They feared him. But they did not admire him. One day, after losing an important business relationship because of his anger, he sought advice from a Stoic teacher. The teacher listened quietly and then asked a simple question. "Who controls your life?" The merchant immediately answered, "I do." The teacher shook his head. "If anger can control your actions, then anger controls your life." Those words struck him deeply. Most people think strength means controlling other people. Stoicism teaches that true strength means controlling yourself. Anyone can become angry. Anyone can react emotionally. Anyone can lose control during difficult situations. But remaining calm when life becomes chaotic requires real power. Marcus Aurelius faced wars, political betrayals, economic struggles, and personal tragedies. Yet throughout these challenges, he constantly reminded himself that external events could not control his inner peace unless he allowed them to. This lesson remains relevant today. Many people allow circumstances to dictate their emotions. A rude comment ruins their day. A setback destroys their motivation. A criticism damages their confidence. As a result, they become emotional prisoners. Their happiness depends entirely on external events. The Stoic seeks freedom. Freedom begins when you realize that while you cannot control everything that happens, you can control how you respond. This is one of the most attractive qualities a person can develop. People naturally feel safe around emotionally stable individuals. They trust them. They respect them. They admire them. Why? Because emotional stability signals maturity. Imagine two people facing the same crisis. The first panics. The second remains calm. Who would you follow? Who would you trust? Who would you respect? The answer is obvious. Life will always present challenges. Difficult people will always exist. Unexpected setbacks will always occur. The question is not whether problems will arise. The question is whether you will allow those problems to control you. Every time you choose patience over anger, you grow stronger. Every time you choose wisdom over impulse, you become more attractive. Every time you choose calmness over chaos, you gain greater mastery over yourself. And self-mastery is one of the rarest qualities in the modern world. 3. Keep your promises. A young craftsman dreamed of building a reputation that would last a lifetime. He wanted people to trust him. He wanted people to recommend him. He wanted people to respect him. At first, he believed this would happen through talent alone. But an older mentor taught him a different lesson. Your reputation is not built by what you promise, the mentor said. It is built by what you deliver. Those words transformed the young craftsman's life. From that day forward, he became obsessed with reliability. If he promised to arrive at sunrise, he arrived before sunrise. If he promised to finish a project within a week, he completed it on time. If he committed to something, people knew he would follow through. Years later, he became one of the most respected craftsmen in the region. Not because he was the most talented, but because he was dependable. In today's world, reliability is surprisingly rare. People make promises casually. They commit without thinking. They say yes when they mean maybe. Over time, their words lose value. Stoicism teaches that your word should mean something. Every promise you keep strengthens your character. Every promise you break weakens it. Marcus Aurelius believed that actions reveal who we truly are. Not intentions. Not excuses. Not explanations. Actions. People eventually stop listening to what you say. They start watching what you do. This is why integrity is so attractive. When someone consistently follows through on their commitments, trust naturally develops. And trust is the foundation of all meaningful relationships. Whether in friendships, business, or family life, people want to know they can depend on you. Becoming trustworthy does not require perfection. It requires consistency. Do what you say you will do. Honor your commitments. Respect your word. Over time, people will begin viewing you as someone rare. Someone dependable. Someone reliable. Someone worth respecting. And there are few qualities more attractive than that. 4. Stop seeking validation. A young artist spent years creating beautiful work. Yet despite her talent, she was unhappy. Every piece she created was designed to impress others. Every decision she made was influenced by public opinion. Every success felt temporary because she constantly needed more approval. One day, after receiving criticism from a stranger, she became devastated. She considered giving up entirely. An older mentor noticed her frustration and asked a simple question. "Who are you creating for?" She immediately answered, "Everyone." The mentor smiled sadly. "That is why you are suffering. Many people live exactly this way. They spend their lives seeking approval. They chase compliments. They depend on praise. They fear criticism. As a result, they surrender control of their happiness. The Stoics believed this was one of the greatest mistakes a person could make. Why? Because public opinion constantly changes. One day people praise you. The next day they criticize you. If your self-worth depends on external approval, your confidence will never be stable. Epictetus taught that true freedom comes when you stop worrying about what others think. This does not mean ignoring feedback. It means refusing to base your identity on it. The moment you stop needing validation, something remarkable happens. You become authentic. You stop performing. You stop pretending. You stop shaping your life around other people's expectations. And authenticity is incredibly attractive. People are drawn to individuals who are comfortable being themselves. Not because they are perfect, but because they are genuine. The strongest confidence comes from self-respect. Not applause. Not approval. Not popularity. When you learn this lesson, you become free. And freedom creates a presence that others cannot ignore. 5. Practice daily discipline. There was once a young man who wanted to transform his life. He bought books. He watched motivational videos. He made ambitious plans. Yet year after year, nothing changed. His dreams remained dreams. His goals remained goals. His potential remained unrealized. Then one day, he encountered a simple idea. Success is not built in a day. It is built daily. That realization changed everything. Instead of focusing on huge transformations, he focused on small habits. He woke up slightly earlier. He exercised consistently. He read every day. He worked on his goals even when he lacked motivation. At first, the results were invisible. Weeks passed. Months passed. Progress seemed slow. But eventually something remarkable happened. The small actions began producing extraordinary results. Stoicism teaches that discipline is the bridge between intention and achievement. Many people know what they should do. Very few consistently do it. This is why discipline is so attractive. It demonstrates self-respect. It demonstrates commitment. It demonstrates strength. Anyone can pursue goals when they feel inspired. The disciplined person continues when inspiration disappears. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to get out of bed and fulfill his duties, even when he wanted comfort. He understood a powerful truth. Your future is shaped by your daily habits. Not your occasional efforts. Not your temporary motivation. Your habits. Every disciplined action becomes a vote for the person you want to become. Every excuse becomes a vote for the person you are trying to leave behind. The choice appears small in the moment. But over years, those choices create entirely different lives. People admire disciplined individuals because discipline creates confidence. When you consistently keep promises to yourself, trust develops. You begin believing in your ability to overcome challenges. You begin trusting your own character. And that inner confidence becomes visible to everyone around you. 6. Speak less, say more. There was once a respected statesman who was known throughout his city for his wisdom. People traveled long distances just to hear him speak. A young student, eager to learn the secret of his influence, spent several days observing him. To the student's surprise, the statesman rarely spoke. During meetings, he listened. During debates, he listened. During discussions, he listened. Yet when he finally offered his thoughts, everyone paid attention. The student eventually asked, "How do you make people value your words so much?" The statesman smiled and replied, "Because I learned that words are like gold. The more carelessly you spend them, the less valuable they become." This lesson reflects one of the most powerful Stoic principles. Most people speak to fill silence. They speak to impress others. They speak because they fear being overlooked. As a result, they often say things they later regret. The Stoics believe that wisdom begins with thoughtful communication. Before speaking, ask yourself whether your words are true, necessary, and helpful. If they are not, silence may be the better choice. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself not to waste time discussing how a good person should act. Instead, he encouraged action. Many people talk endlessly about their goals. Few actually pursue them. Many people discuss success. Few are willing to work for it. The Stoic understands that words alone accomplish nothing. Action creates results. This is why people naturally respect individuals who speak with purpose. When you avoid gossip, your words gain credibility. When you avoid unnecessary arguments, your voice gains influence. When you communicate clearly and directly, people listen more carefully. Imagine being in a room where everyone is talking at once. The loudest voice may gain attention for a moment. But the thoughtful voice earns respect. Respect lasts longer than attention. Another benefit of speaking less is that you learn more. Every conversation contains valuable information. People reveal their fears, ambitions, insecurities, and intentions through their words. If you are always speaking, you miss the opportunity to understand them. The Stoics viewed listening as a form of strength. Listening requires patience. Listening requires humility. Listening requires discipline. And those qualities are increasingly rare. In today's world, many people are waiting for their turn to speak. Very few are genuinely listening. Become one of the few. Listen carefully. Speak intentionally. Choose quality over quantity. Over time, your words will carry greater weight because people will know that when you speak, you have something meaningful to say. That kind of presence is quietly powerful. And quiet power is deeply attractive. 7. Embrace discomfort. A young warrior once approached an experienced general and asked how he had become so fearless. The general laughed. "I am not fearless," he replied. The young warrior looked confused. "But everyone says you are the bravest man in the kingdom." The general nodded. "Bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is acting despite fear." Those words contain a truth that the Stoics understood very well. Most people spend their lives avoiding discomfort. They avoid difficult conversations. They avoid challenges. They avoid risks. They avoid failure. As a result, they remain trapped within the boundaries of their comfort zone. The Stoics believe that comfort, while pleasant, can become dangerous when it prevents growth. Every meaningful achievement requires discomfort. Every significant transformation requires effort. Every worthwhile goal demands sacrifice. Marcus Aurelius faced enormous challenges throughout his life. He dealt with wars, political conflicts, disease outbreaks, and personal loss. Yet he did not view these obstacles as reasons to quit. He viewed them as opportunities to develop strength. This mindset can completely transform your life. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can this teach me?" Instead of avoiding challenges, move toward them. Instead of fearing discomfort, embrace it. Growth rarely occurs in comfort. It happens when you push beyond your current limitations. Think about physical exercise. Muscles grow through resistance. Without resistance, there is no growth. The same principle applies to character. Without challenges, there is no resilience. Without adversity, there is no strength. People are naturally attracted to resilient individuals. Why? Because resilience signals capability. It signals courage. It signals reliability. When life becomes difficult, resilient people do not collapse. They adapt. They endure. They continue moving forward. That creates trust and admiration. The next time life presents a challenge, remember that discomfort is often the price of becoming a stronger version of yourself. The obstacle is not your enemy. It is your teacher. And every lesson learned through adversity becomes part of your strength. 8. Focus on your purpose. There was once a ship sailing across a vast ocean. The weather changed constantly. Some days brought sunshine. Other days brought storms. The waves rose and fell without warning. Yet despite all the uncertainty, the ship continued moving toward its destination. Why? Because it had a direction. Without direction, the ship would have drifted aimlessly. The same is true for life. Many people wake up each morning without a clear purpose. They react to circumstances. They follow trends. They chase distractions. Years pass, and they wonder why they feel lost. The Stoics believe that purpose is one of the most important elements of a meaningful life. Purpose gives direction to your actions. Purpose helps you make decisions. Purpose keeps you focused when distractions appear. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of his responsibilities. He understood that every day was an opportunity to fulfill his purpose. This mindset allowed him to remain focused even during difficult times. People are naturally attracted to individuals who know where they are going. Purpose creates confidence. Purpose creates determination. Purpose creates consistency. Imagine two people. One changes direction every week. The other steadily works toward a meaningful goal. Which person inspires greater confidence? The answer is obvious. Purpose does not require perfection. You do not need every detail of your future figured out. You simply need a reason to move forward. When your actions align with a meaningful purpose, life becomes more fulfilling. You stop wasting energy on things that do not matter. You stop chasing distractions. You stop allowing other people's opinions to control your decisions. Instead, you focus on what truly matters. That focus becomes visible. People notice it. They respect it. They admire it. Because in a world filled with distractions, a person with purpose is rare. And rarity is attractive. 9. Treat everyone with respect. One day, a wealthy businessman entered a restaurant and treated the staff rudely. He spoke harshly. He acted impatiently. He behaved as though he were more important than everyone around him. At another table sat an elderly man who observed the entire interaction. After the businessman left, someone asked the elderly man what he thought. The old man replied, "A person's character is revealed by how they treat people who can do nothing for them." The Stoics would have agreed completely. True character appears in ordinary moments. Anyone can be respectful when it benefits them. Anyone can be kind when people are watching. But genuine respect comes from understanding the value of every human being. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that every person shares the same human nature. This perspective encouraged compassion, patience, and understanding. Respect does not mean allowing others to mistreat you. It does not mean abandoning your boundaries. It simply means recognizing the dignity of others. People are naturally attracted to individuals who treat others well. Why? Because kindness signals strength. Cruelty often comes from insecurity. Arrogance often comes from weakness. Respect comes from confidence. A truly confident person does not need to belittle others. They do not need to prove their superiority. They do not need to seek status through intimidation. Instead, they lead through character. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are they treat others with fairness and respect. Not because they must, but because that is who they are. This habit creates trust. It creates loyalty. It creates meaningful relationships. And those relationships often become one of life's greatest sources of fulfillment. Respect costs nothing. Yet its value is immeasurable. Practice it daily. Not for recognition. Not for rewards. But because it reflects the kind of person you choose to become. 10. Become comfortable being alone. A young man spent most of his life fearing solitude. Whenever he found himself alone, he immediately searched for distractions. He turned on the television. He checked social media. He called friends. He did anything possible to avoid being alone with his thoughts. One day, after experiencing a difficult breakup, he found himself spending more time alone than ever before. At first, he hated it. The silence felt uncomfortable. The loneliness felt overwhelming. But gradually, something unexpected happened. He began learning about himself. He reflected on his mistakes. He identified his weaknesses. He discovered strengths he never knew he possessed. Over time, solitude transformed from something he feared into something he valued. The Stoics believed that solitude is essential for self-discovery. Epictetus taught that a person should learn to be comfortable with themselves. After all, If you cannot enjoy your own company, how can you expect others to enjoy it? Many people depend on relationships for their sense of identity. They fear being alone because they fear facing themselves. The Stoic chooses a different path. The Stoic uses solitude as an opportunity for growth. Time alone allows you to think clearly. It allows you to examine your values. It allows you to strengthen your mind. People who are comfortable being alone develop a unique form of confidence. They do not cling to relationships out of fear. They do not seek constant validation. They do not depend on others for happiness. Instead, they bring happiness with them. This makes their relationships healthier and stronger. There is something deeply attractive about a person who is complete on their own. Not because they reject others, but because they choose relationships from a place of strength rather than need. The Stoics understood that solitude is not loneliness. Loneliness is the pain of feeling disconnected. Solitude is the joy of connecting with yourself. Learn to spend time alone. Learn to enjoy your own thoughts. Learn to appreciate your own company. When you do, you will develop a level of independence that very few people possess. And that independence will become one of your greatest strengths. Conclusion. The world often tells us that attractiveness comes from appearance, wealth, popularity, or status. Stoicism teaches something far more powerful. True attractiveness comes from character. It comes from mastering silence. It comes from controlling your emotions. It comes from keeping your promises. It comes from rejecting the need for constant validation. It comes from discipline. It comes from speaking with purpose. It comes from embracing discomfort. It comes from pursuing a meaningful purpose. It comes from treating people with respect. And it comes from becoming comfortable with yourself. These habits will not transform your life overnight. But practiced consistently, they will transform the way you think, act, and carry yourself. They will help you develop confidence that does not depend on circumstances. They will help you develop strength that cannot be taken away by criticism. They will help you become someone worthy of respect. And respect is far more valuable than attention. If you found value in this Stoic lesson, subscribe to Stoic Philosophy Hub, like this video, and turn on notifications. Join thousands of people who are building stronger minds, deeper wisdom, and unshakable confidence through Stoic philosophy. Remember, the journey to becoming your strongest self begins with the habits you practice every day.